So personally, I think if you're able to break out of your parents' house, right, it helps you to focus on your problem, right, on your personal problem, you could. So I would agree with the notion that states that living helps your mental health.
For me, it was one of the best things I ever did, because like I have so much privacy now. I don't want to be sad and just in my room and I'm hearing, I will now be shouting, "Ma!" every minute. Is like, oh, they're calling me for their needs and all of that. To be honest, like I have time for myself. I have time to deal with my issues.
How about handling your bills?
That is another thing. It is one of the best things that's happened to me as well.
Oh, so you enjoy handling your bills yourself?
I enjoy being responsible. It has taught me a lot, like leaving my parents' house. I am much more responsible. Right now, I can say I send money home sometimes. It has made me more responsible. When I was there, it was like, oh, they cook this, I have to eat it because I mean, we're in the house. But like now, I cook what I want to eat, I can afford my things, and I still send money home. So it has made me more responsible. Like I've had to like up my game, like by far.
I think it builds character when you leave your parents' house, because for me, at the end of the day, you are eventually going to leave your parents' house, right?
So your character was not built when
I
you
mean,
were
like,
living with your parents.
I mean, like,
your character was nothing at all.
It helps you to prepare more for the future, because, like I said, at the end of the day, you will leave the house, right? So if you leave early, it's like you're starting earlier, and then you're gaining experience and all that. So it just helps you to transit easily or smoothly into that adult life, because
we're trying to build mental health. One of the most important things for mental health is stability.
Okay.
If you're living alone, you're not going to guarantee stability. So,
but you're not guaranteed stability if you're staying with them too. So
no, but then
exactly. So
but then the likelihood of having a stable environment where you have figures that you could look up to, you could ask for advice, people that would support you when you need help. You're not having to deal with all the things you're dealing with on your own. Then that makes a lot of difference for your mental health.
Looking at it from my own experience, I understand that you shouldn't be in your parents' house at the age of 25, but in the context we live in, right, in this economic situation that we find ourselves in the country, I honestly am grateful that I still live with my parents. I get that, for a lot of young people now deal with a mental health issue, which is kind of like a big deal now. Little things get us worked up, stressed up and all of that. But then looking at the fact that you don't even get to pay bills for yourself, you don't get to think a lot about, oh, where do I get food to eat? How do I go to the market, and buy all of those stuff? It's not taking a toll on your mental health, because that alone also adds to the mental health.
Like
Imagine living alone, right, at 25 and above, and you have to think of what to eat. You're going through heartbreak. You're going through.
That's like being an adult, right? That's why I see that.
It's part of being an adult.
How do you cope when you need like space and time for yourself? You don't need anybody to talk to you, and then your mom needs you to do this, your dad needs you to do this. How do you cope? Because I feel like when I'm going through it, I just want to
be alone.
Think alone. I want to be on my own. I want to.
How about when you need someone to talk to?
Yeah,
because I believe that is why they are there.
I have the choice of reaching out to people, right?
Yeah.
When I want to. I remember my first heartbreak, right? I had a lot of people around me, right, that period. And I remember vividly right now that I really wanted to be alone. Like I just wanted to, not cry, but I just wanted to have that space where I just think. I just wanted to be alone at that particular point, right? Yeah. I didn't want anyone to interfere with. And I think personally for me, that's how I'm able to deal with stuff, right? I just want to be in my space, think about what is happening.
No disturbance.
No disturbance. I don't want anybody to advise me. I don't want anybody to tell me it's fine, it's going to be fine. And then when I'm okay, because like I said, personally, I'm able to move myself out of those states of mind, right? But if I have a lot of people clouding me and telling me this is going to fine,
that's why I say you need them to talk to them. But it doesn't mean that you get to talk to them when you don't feel like talking, because you are responsible for your own feelings. That's the problem. Right? They can't force you to talk when you don't feel like talking.
You're going to heartbreak, right? Your mom sees you going through heartbreak. She sees you are breaking down. Of course, she's going to be worried.
Yeah.
She's going to worry. She's going to be concerned. Your dad is going to be concerned too, right? And for me, I feel like that's going to be a lot of pressure.
That's why you're an adult. You have control over your feelings.
We have culture and how it affects the way we develop and handle issues. Right now, we are in a culture that encourages isolation. We are having more problems with our mental health than we ever used to. We have more suicide and a lot more people going into depression, drugs, and all that. You're finding a way to fill up that space on your own. That has never worked. There has never been a time, no test that has proven that is a good way to handle. Because it makes you feel good does not mean it's going to help you long run, right? Community is critical to the African society, it's critical to our growth and development. That is the reason why, exactly, that is the reason why from very young, we must be in community. It's very useful for you to be in a school, not just to be schooled at home. Because all those things, you're learning a lot, you're learning from culture. How do you now make the argument that that is not useful for you when you are past 25? Because at that point, you should probably be, okay, let's say you're getting married. If you're getting married, we understand you're going to now have a new type of community to be around. But you must be protected with it. You're not yet married, and then you have an environment that caters for all those other community needs, and then your instinct is to run from it. That couldn't help your mental health.
Okay. Yeah, so I feel like when you stay alone by yourself, it helps self-discovery. You get to know yourself better, when you're just by yourself. And that is, I feel like if you're not self-conscious, you can't deal with a lot of people.
That's what a lot of people run away from. You just want to stay alone. Let me smoke. let me have some shots, and you're running away from your problems. But is it helping?
It's not even
in any way, because the more you're even alone, you feel like you have more time to want to fall back to that habit, and you find yourself gradually getting addicted to things like that.
I think the worst alcoholic or drunk are people that stay with their parents.
Yeah.
I've seen the worst. I'm very serious. I've seen the worst set of people.
I haven't.
Drugs in their parents' home. But you can also reach out to your parents from your comfort, right?
But having them around is much more effective, because just a phone call, for someone like me now, just a phone call is never enough. I'm more of a physical, a face-to-face. Yeah, if I need to talk to you, I need to get some relief, some sort of relief. If I see you and I talk to you, it works for me a lot. And I know that it works for a lot of young people. And about sharing your problems apart from your family, you say you have friends that you can share your problems with. It's not everybody that you trust on things like that. So I believe that with your parents, having your parents around, being and living in your parents' house at that age is kind of like a relief, because you get to share. No. Okay, my bad.
Let me say something.
It's relieving because you get to share problems with people that you have been with.
Share problems with their parents.
With your parents that you have lived with.
Okay.
Your entire life.
Okay, so let me say something. I come from a family that is we can't say no to our parents. You can't. My father is telling me to do this. I cannot say no. I have to. He wants me to be a doctor. I cannot say no because my father has said it. We don't. Even though I'm going to be the black sheep, I'm actually the last born. My elder siblings are the very, very. They created a part that, if one or two of them were rebels, it would have been easier for the last to do it. But
you can relate.
2020 was when I left my parents' house. I served in Abuja, so I just stayed back here. And I had to fight my way out of it because like I wanted to do something different. I didn't want, if I'm in your house, you have to tell me A and I have to do A because you're clothing me, you're feeding me, you're doing everything for me. Whether or not I like it, I would do it. But like,
did that affect your mental health?
it did. That was why I broke, like I left the house. Like when I served, I just said, oh, this is a very good opportunity to leave. Because like, there was a lot of pressure from my house, from my parents.
I'd like to address something he said with what you said.
Okay, so it's not like they were, I mean, every parent looks out for the good of their children, but like, what do I really want? Like, what do I want for myself, right? Yeah. So that's why when I started staying alone, it helped me. Like, it was not easy initially, but like, it helped me understand who I was better, what I wanted for myself, not being, not following rules of what they want me to do. I started becoming who I wanted to be, and it really helped my mental health.
You said something earlier, right?
Yes, so about, that's it for me.
Being tough, it helped you to be tough, helped you to be more resilient, and that was, we're referring to that as your mental health. I think it's very important to clarify, because I said I was going to address what you said with what she said. Earlier while you were talking, you said you needed some time alone, but not to cry, and then she was like, it's good to cry sometimes. The reason why it's important to cry sometimes is because being tough is not equivalent to strength. Being tough is not what makes your mental health to be good. Sometimes being vulnerable does. In fact, most times being vulnerable helps. So just because you're able to go through those things that are making life difficult for you does not mean that your mental health is good. It just means that you've found a way to actually press things down and just move on. So there's this argument why staying at your parents' house is good for your finances. Living does not make much sense because, let's say for example, your parents are going to stop working at a particular age, money is going to stop coming in. While they are working, you have someone's money coming into the house, taking care of everybody, and it's good enough, they're not complaining. You also are not necessarily idle, for example, because the argument is not that you should stay at your parents' house and be useless. You should be adding value. So while you're having your own money, you don't have to spend it because someone else is spending to take care of the basic things that are needed. Now, when your parents do not have money, you have kept enough of yours that you can actually take care of them. It's like they are now staying with you. I don't know, because at some point they get too old, they can't really stay alone. You have to take care of them. If you actually are wise enough with managing your finances, which is another thing that you could learn from your parents, because your parents are making maybe 60K per month, and somehow they're taking care of all 10 of you in the house, right? And you wonder, how are they getting that money? That's something that you just couldn't learn in a business school. And so having that experience, having those people around you, showing you, they might not teach you and say, okay, this is what we're doing. Yeah. Just like we know that African mothers always have money. It's a lie when they say they don't have money, right? So, but what is the technique? I still haven't figured it out. I know this, I observed it, I've tried to learn it from different people. I still don't know what they are doing. And what school is it that they teach themselves this thing? Because it's like the moment you become an African mom, you figure out how to keep money. I think it's because the father is taking care of things, so whatever money that the mother gets, she has a way of keeping it somewhere else. That's one of the benefits that we have as young people staying with them.
Yeah, so, and I would say that living with them, you also get to learn. It's not something that happens overnight, and that's the reason why living with them, you get to learn these habits, and gradually with time, because there's time for everything. I'm not saying that living in your parents' house from 25 old to you're old and gray is okay. Of course, there'll be a time where you see the need to want to leave. You know that you're financially capable of handling your bills and all of that. But at 25, you have a job that is paying you less than minimum wage. What are you doing on your own? What are you doing living in an apartment?
Recipe for a shower.
Why are you suffering? Why do you want to suffer? Why do you love suffering? Do you understand? So you know that I know that I am living under my parents' house. There is this financial covering that I don't need to worry about. Oh, what am I going to eat? Oh, who is going to pay the bills for light? Or who is going to meet up all of these needs and all of that? Yes, I have my job. I get paid, and I contribute in one way or the other in my own little way. As little as okay, I get to buy my own toiletries, my cosmetics, my outfits, you know, all those little things. I get to pay all of those things and cover for it. But if you think of the fact that you have a covering, or you don't need to worry about bills, you don't need to worry about rent, you don't need to worry about feeding. There are times when you go out and you come home, you don't even need to think about what to eat.
I feel like the point you just made, there's a very thin line between what you're saying right now and being lazy, you know, because
really,
yes, I have friends, right, mutual friends, that were staying, you know, there are people that stay in their parents' house and they're still like independent, right? Yeah. Right? I have friends or people that are dependent on their parents, right? Feeding, accommodation, transportation, all those things. And we're still saving money more than them. You understand? We were taking up responsibilities in the house and we're still saving money more than them.
Isn't that more of a character
that's a
flaw?
Fear of suffering. It is the fear of suffering that is making you
like when you
say
it helps you build
character. Because we were staying in the family, like, I won't say family, that's like,
it helps you know that.
But the point I have made here is far from being lazy, because if you look at the economy we're living in, look at the context where we live in today.
Your contribution sounded very selfish. You said you take care of your toiletries, your outfits. Yeah. That's for you.
Well,
you're not contributing
yes. It could sound, it may sound selfish, but I wouldn't want to say that, oh, they cater for my own needs, like buying toiletries for me. It wouldn't make sense if I say they still buy my toiletries, they buy my cosmetics, they still buy outfits for me. It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't mean that that is the only thing that I get to provide for. We have things like groceries for the family. I could also make provision for that. But I'm saying that I don't get to take up all the bills, everything that concerns the house, because there is that financial covering. You have somebody that is above.
So at what point?
Alone and catering for their parents.
At what point do you take up that responsibility of moving out
and being financially
because personally, look, I'm not saying it's easy or it has been easy being taking care of myself or being the one financially assisting myself and above. To purchase on my earlier points,
like you said, it has
you have to
been
prepare.
easy.
Yeah, it hasn't
but
been
being
easy.
in your parents' house makes it easier.
It makes it easier, but eventually, right, you have to leave. That's the point that I'm trying to make. You have to leave eventually, right? So you have to, like, this process is just what prepares you for that, right? Because at the end of the day,
so why are you rushing the process?
Okay, so
it's not a rush.
Exactly.
I don't think it's a rush.
Personally,
I don't see it as a rush.
I actually spend more money like when I'm at my parents' house. Yeah, like okay, so
which means that financial responsibility is not a thing about staying alone.
Yeah.
It's actually a thing that you could build irrespective of where you are.
But
so why not be in an easier environment?
When I was in my parents' house before I left, I was very dependent on breakfast, lunch, everything. Like my life, they were just taking care of me. But like now that I've left and then I'm more independent, I spend more anytime I'm in Jos or when I go to meet my parents, because like, I mean, I've learned a lot. I've grown to be a better person. I am now independent, and so when I go back to, like I said earlier, I send money home too. Do you understand? And then that thing comes with respect as well.
Yeah.
Let me say that. Let me build better on that point. When you are in your parents' house and they provide everything for you, I promise you, like, the level of respect won't be much. No matter how much it is. Like, I operate better with long distance relationship, me and my family members. We call each other every 2 days. Oh, mommy, I miss you. Da, 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 da. When I travel back home, when we see each other eye to eye, day one is rosy, day two, in
Bad
between.
moves.
Day 3, we're already on different sides. But like when I'm away, and then okay, so I just got my salary. Oh, mom, just take this, do this. I'm trying to like solve a little, like just take this small money. It's not much. And my mom was like so excited, and then I feel like the level of respect has increased.
And they believe, you know.
Yeah, they believe I can do things on my own. Like now,
I mean, being responsible has a lot to do with the mindset.
Yeah.
Whether or not you are living with your parents or you're independent, living alone, right? Because it has a lot to do with discipline. There are so many people, there are people that I know, friends I know that live alone, and I see them struggle every day, and that's not the life I envision for myself. I see them struggle a lot, and in my mind I'm like, auntie, uncle, it's not by force. You like to suffer.
it's always two sides.
Why are you suffering? Why?
Always two sides.
Because you know that you are not financially capable to handle this thing. Even the discipline, even the morals, morally, you know that you cannot handle living alone, being independent. So why the rush? Do you understand?
I feel like it pushes you.
Why the rush? It is not. I feel like it's not even an age
If you keep
thing.
pushing, you fall off
It's
the
not
cliff
an
one day.
age thing. If I'm 25, 26, 27, or even 30, and I still live with my parents, and I don't see the need for me to be out, independent, and living alone, I honestly will not even push it. Well, what I was trying to point out, right, is the fact that you get to be morally aware of yourself and your intentions and your actions if you are living with your parents. But being independent and living alone, it gives room for you to want to explore, like I said earlier, because now you know that you're alone. There's nobody that has control over the things you do. I get it, you're an adult, right? You have the liberty and you're responsible for the actions and the decisions you take for life. But then when you have that covering, you have guidance, you have people that have been your mentors from birth, right? Because for me, speaking from experience, that's the kind of guidance I've had from growing up. You have that sense of, that you cannot go out and bring somebody into your parents' house and say you want to explore with man inside your parents' house. That's
a lot of people do it too. A lot of people.
You rather do it out, but I'm
because
saying even when you're outside, there's that consciousness that
discipline.
you are
What's
still-
the difference between outside
there is
and
that
being
consciousness.
independent?
No.
Because
When
if
I
you're
say
outside,
outside, I mean
and
like
I'm
when
independent,
I
I
say
can do that.
outside, I mean when you go out.
There
You're
is a
still living with
difference.
parents. Like when you're out,
What's the
you're
difference?
Tell
hanging
us.
around people, or you're with your man outside. There is still that sense because you
Just
know
because
that.
your man outside, you will lose all your own training.
So,
I won't
so
lose
there
all
is
my
a big
home
difference.
training. I
There is
will
a
not
big
lose
difference.
my
Tell
home
us,
training
please, what
because
is
I
it?
know that I still have that covering. I can't. I don't know how to explain.
If we're
So the
talking
best
about
way to put
if we're
it
talking about
is
discipline, that means if you're disciplined in your parents' house, you can
Discipline
also be
outside is
disciplined
easy.
when
easy.
you're in your personal
It's
space.
easy.
Let me explain to you. Let me
Yes,
explain
now,
to you why-
discipline.
No,
It's
no.
not easy.
It's not just that.
I
Okay.
promise you that
It's
not
much more
easy.
than just being able to choose not to do something. It's much
Yeah.
more than that. It's so much more than that. You
The
have I
temptation
do
will
system
come
designs,
from-
right?
The temptation
I do system designs, and when you're trying to design an environment and have maybe pattern a particular behavior in people in that environment. Simple example is throwing dirt on the floor. I was in an environment where, because my teacher, Douglas Kaze, really shaped my life. And he was always talking about do not throw dirt on the floor. I built that character and I started making sure that everyone around me was like that. Now, when you are with me, even you would agree that when you have something to throw out of the window, because Jerry is beside you, you're more like conscious of it.
For the record, I don't do that. I have dirt in my pocket.
Yeah, but that's not something that you were doing before. It became something you imbibed, right? But it's because of the environment that you're around. Like just simply being beside Jerry Jallo will just make you more conscious of the fact that I shouldn't throw this dirt on the floor. Similarly, with having dustbins around in an environment.
My point.
So
Whenever I'm not with Jerry Jallo and I have dirt and I want to throw it out, Jejalo still rings in my head. That's discipline.
But that takes process. That's a process.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But 25 is such a long time to learn.
have built that.
To have
That's
built
what I'm saying.
No, because
I mean-
because
That's what I'm saying.
because in these particular issues, when you're younger, they are not even a problem for you at those points.
You know that the world has changed.
Let me ask you a
in a
question.
very
That's what I'm
crazy
saying.
way.
Right now, even
Jerry,
much
like,
younger, you would have
literally.
Let me ask you a
experiences.
question, right? Have you, okay, maybe not personally, have you had friends, right, that have done immoral things in their parents' house?
Speak English.
Right? Okay, have you had friends that have done, what was the word you used the other day? Escapades.
Yeah.
In their parents' house, right? Because I know people that
A
will
lot.
still do that.
I promise.
course.
In their parents' house.
Yeah.
But they would be more number one, just like you were trying to
More
hide someone from your
responsible.
mom. You will be more
And-
careful. You would avoid it as much
But it
as
doesn't
possible.
take away the fact
And
that
even
you
the way you,
don't
sorry,
get
and
my
it,
point.
no,
This is
it's
what
not
we're trying to
about doing it or not doing it, right? For me, I feel like it's about being responsible and morally
Because
aware
Yep.
on how to handle it. When you're alone, there's, I don't know, I will still repeat what I have said earlier, that the tendency to want to go out there because you know that you're not on watch. There's nobody watching
The
your
environment does not
movements. There's
condone
nobody,
That's
so you know that
indiscipline,
you're
but
open
if
to
you
going
be
out.
alone.
Yeah.
See,
Discipline
men that
is not
live
just about mind.
alone and are
Discipline is also involved with the
independent.
environment.
Yeah, men that
Environment
live alone.
facilitates it.
Men and women, I don't want to be gender. let them not be gender. But both men and women, right? Both male and female that are independent and live alone. I promise you that there's, even for me, whenever I think of, being independent and living alone, I think of the fact that, oh, how am I going to handle the kind of people that visit me, the kind of people that I'm going to let into my own
I want to see
space,
something.
right? And I'm thinking of, oh, I know that I have this group of friends. I know I have
Okay.
acquaintances, I have people that I talk to that I wouldn't want to come into my space.
It's not
But
let them
what
come to your space,
if?
as simple as
I don't
going
think
to
you
them.
people are happy
There are
that
times
you people
that
don't have
there are
the
times
freedom to
that
do
that's
what
why
you
I said
want.
the tendency.
I don't think you people are
Because-
happy that people are not free. To be very
So
honest.
I feel like
Uh-uh.
I feel
Wait,
like
let me-
We're not
guys are
caged.
Let me-
We are not caged
I feel
in
like
any
all your
way.
points,
I
right,
am
is
not
built around the
caged
fact that
in
you
let me
don't
make
any
my
way.
point. Let me make my
that.
point.
I go out.
make my point, yeah.
Let me tell you, I
go-
go out.
No, you
You
don't.
come back by like 1 a.m., 2
She
a.m.
can't write.
I'm just
I didn't
asking.
mean like
Personally, I wouldn't even do that if I leave.
Excuse me,
alone.
what time does the club start?
I don't club.
Okay, exactly. So that's why I don't like.
Right?
Don't have a problem
But it's
being
not
in
even
your
just
parents'
about clubbing. There are other things that will keep you out till 1 a.m.
So, but because of that, you're able to avoid some situations that probably could have been disastrous, immoral, or dangerous for you. Do you understand? This is your parents. You said you have to be, even if it's because of, let me say, kunya for your parents, right? You're going to be more conscious of the fact that, okay, I'm out this late, and the fact that I come back quicker means that those things that I probably would have been doing, that apart from the work now, of course, like say you're in the club. For example, I used to drink a lot, and then I stopped abruptly, almost 10 years sober now, and yeah,
Bravo.
no, I'm very proud of it, right? So, but almost 10 years sober, and for the past few weeks and months, I've been craving, because I'm a whiskey guy, I've been craving whiskey terribly. So, being around a place where I can easily get whiskey makes it easier for me to still want whiskey. Do you understand? But being in a place where I would not have whiskey makes it more likely that I would maintain my sobriety. That's what we're saying, that the environment also facilitates the decision making. This is actually very, very common sociological issues. It's literally wherever you are would help to influence the way you behave. So if you're going to be immoral, you would likely not be immoral in church. That is the reason why your snap stories actually change on Sundays. Do you understand? Yeah, your snap stories are going to look more decent on Sundays, but they are not the same Friday nights. Do you understand? The timing changes everything.
Would you take any man that is 25, 26, or let's say from between 25 to 30 in his parents' house? Would you take him serious as someone you want to like have as a life partner? Would you like no, just be honest and be sincere? Would you take like I'm still my parents.
Is it a yes or no response you need? You want me to
first.
Yes,
explain?
and why?
Yes, and why? Yes, no, and why? Because I know it's going to be yes.
Would I take
A
a
man
man
between 25
that
to
is
30,
25
That's
to
still
30
living with his parents.
and is still living with his parents as a husband? Yes, I will.
Why?
And I have. And like I said,
that didn't last because it's not like you're not going to with the person.
but that wasn't the reason, right? It's not because it didn't end because the person was still
Would you
living
say-
with
would
his
you say
parents
it's
at that
part of-
age.
It's part of the reasons why.
No, but everything else
No,
in
it
his life is
wasn't.
also part of the reason
And-
because it will have influenced his life
Of course.
and who he is.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, that to be frank, right, I will consider and I would want to know why the why the person is not living alone, right? Could it be that you don't have a job or you're not financially
That
capable?
would be the major problem is
Of-
finances because.
So if
that's
I
like
meet
one
somebody
thing
that,
we don't
yes,
understand.
if I even meet somebody that is living in his parents' house and is not financially capable, I don't see any reason with wanting to go ahead with the relationship.
But it's not really about the
because
parents, it's about the financial capacity.
yes,
and
it's not about living with
responsibility.
your parents, it's about the responsibility that I am not seeing. It's not there. So how are we able to handle the relationship?
That's what
Because
I'm
there are
saying.
men
My
that will
point
tell
is-
you
my point-
until they are ready to get married, if they find a wife, then they see the need to want to move out
I
of
think
their
that's
But how
parents'
do you
how
build
house.
guys-
character?
It doesn't
my
stop you
opinion,
from
that's
building
how guys-
character.
It's
It
not you.
it doesn't stop
What
you
I'm saying,
from
it stops
building
you because
character.
how do you
No,
plan?
it doesn't,
Okay,
because
okay,
you're
okay.
you're
Hold
literally
on.
independent,
Hold on.
living in
Hold
your
on.
parents' house.
I want to get married next year, right?
And I'm
Yeah.
still staying in
And
my
I'm still staying in my parents' house
Uh-huh.
now.
You know you can be building your house while living in your parents'
To be
house.
honest, I just feel like I won't see you as a very responsible person. You're not ready to take actual
A step.
personal like full-time care of yourself.
I
And
feel like
doesn't
that
make
is you
sense to
coming
me.
from a judgmental point of
Not
view
a
because
That's just
you
how I
don't
see
get
it,
to
because
see this
why
person
can't
for
you
who
stay, no,
he is,
you have
right?
to experience staying like on your own, like catering.
You mean cohabiting with the
no,
person?
No,
Not
no, no.
cohabiting.
I'm not saying I don't want to stay in your house.
Like you want to experience
No, no,
living
no.
alone with
Like,
this person,
if
and the person is blocking your chances
if I come,
of
if I
wanting
meet
to.
a guy and he's like, oh, I still live with my parents. I promise
At
you,
30.
I'll just see you as a coward.
Come on.
Like you're not ready
Chelsea,
to
come
take.
on now.
You're not ready. To
Honestly, I don't see anything
you're not
wrong
ready to take
in
proper
it.
responsibilities. You have to experience, like when I come to a guy's house, let's just say, oh, first time you want us to see you like me, and I come to your house and I see that, oh, you're handling your stuff like real well.
Yeah.
It will even just entice me. I'm like, oh, this guy's a man. I actually like really alpha male. Like, but when you're in your
I have
parents'
friends.
house,
I know
you're just
men
like,
that live in their parents' house and are
I
Sorry,
think
this
it's a
one
turn off
I'm
for me
even talking
personally,
about.
like,
I know personally.
you show me that
he's
you can
above
handle
30.
shit yourself,
This guy is above
right?
30 and still lives in his parents'
It's not the
house.
one for me.
And he's financially capable. He's doing his thing as a man. And I can tell that this person
have
is
you asked him why he has not
independent.
left? Just ask him
Well,
this is your friend.
I can sense that the reason he is still there is because he is in the notion
Too
that
comfortable.
I will
There's
not
nothing
leave my
else.
parents'
Too
house until I
comfortable.
find a wife.
He's
And
not
trust
serious
me,
with life.
Find a wife.
there's nothing unserious about this
That's
person's
him
life.
being
And this
too
is because
comfortable.
I know this person
I will never date a
personally.
guy like that.
I know this person personally. He's above 30 and he's doing just
Above
okay.
You're not above 30.
It's not even 27 or 28. I beg. Staying alone teaches you how to
If
handle
I
your
go
thing
further-
by yourself.
It doesn't
To be
mean that
honest,
you live in your parents' house, you can't. There are people. Okay,
you're
so
too
I'll
used
tell
to
you
you're
this.
too used to luxury. Like you're
Because
too
I have
used to the
seen-
comfort.
Because I have seen,
But
like I
you,
earlier
you,
said,
were, you were
because
the
I
one
have
saying
actually
earlier
seen-
that not every parent's house is luxurious.
Yes, I know, but like
So?
for the people that stay there because of the benefits they get,
Yeah.
when you start staying on your own, it's going to take a really hard toll on you because, like, I mean, where do you begin?
We made
You
an
have to
argument.
start learning how to.
We made
do
an
this.
argument earlier that sometimes staying there is because
But
you're
you know
preparing for
that-
the future. That means you're futuristic
It's
enough
still gonna
to like,
come,
know.
so why not leave earlier?
How are you preparing?
Do you get, like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
we talked about finances earlier, right? We're like, okay, so because your parents are settling some of the issues,
Yeah.
you're able to now keep some money. When your parents are no longer getting the income that
you're
they're getting,
learning.
you're
You're
able to learn
learning
and know
by
how to
living
take
with
care
them.
of
You're
them.
living
Do you know that
Bro.
experience,
Bro.
like
Bro.
personal
Bro.
experience, is like the best form of teaching you can ever get?
Are you okay?
What do you call me?
Learning doesn't now.
Yeah, let's-
To be honest, like when you experience things for yourself, that is when you can actually speak. Because like most of the things I've learned are for myself. Most of the things that I'm doing now is what I learned by myself. Quite frankly, when I need my parents to help me do this, I call my elder sister. Oh, this is the situation I'm finding myself in. What do you think?
Planning it by yourself.
I learned them, most of them by myself.
Or you call
Experiences.
somebody.
That's for some cases, not every time.
But even when I called, most times I'm a very stubborn person. I don't take advices that they give me. Like that's your starting. Whether if you pack all the experiences you've gained from your parents' house, or the advice,
never be
the
prepared.
prayers every day. Oh, your mother will tell you do this. When you get your house, you have the keys to this house. Oh, I opened this door. I'm all by myself.
But
It's
then
a
at that
totally
point, you
different
know how to
experience.
handle things.
You don't
Yeah,
know.
majorly.
You're a no
Unlike
that.
when you were 20.
You're not going home to meet
and
anybody
you-
cooking for
Unlike
you.
a 20-year-old that will leave
Let me
his
tell-
parents'
let me
house
tell
or
you
leave
something.
her parents'
You're
house
going to
and
sort your
want
shit
to
out
be
by
alone. No, it's going to be a different experience.
That's what I'm
I need you
saying.
to understand
For the
it,
fact that you're going
right?
to experience
Look,
it,
things
why
change.
not just
Things
Right?
change.
At the end- One can leave his parents' house at the age when he or she is financially stable. Emphasis on financial stability because it's really important in the context and the time and economic situation we find ourselves in Nigeria.
I think the only condition I would advise anyone to stay in their family house or under a guardian or something is if maybe you have the liberty, or like you have a very big family that you have a certain level of freedom that you can get while you are independent of them.
It shouldn't be too awkward for you to stay. And I know most people are going to be, by default, almost everybody is going to be like, yes, we should leave. I'm grown, I'm mature, I need to go out, I need to explore. That would make sense to you, but you would realize that you are actually 27 and you're still in your parents' house. So it's not necessarily because this is like a passion of yours, but sometimes there are just situations where you're going to have to be there, and that should be fine.
I think everyone should leave their parents' houses at a pretty early age so they can experience life for themselves. When you do things by yourself, it just gives you can actually tell your story easier, and you know where you've made mistakes. It gives you this sense of responsibility.